Hi, my name is Justin Torok and I've been a paranormal investigator for about 10 years. I've always been obsessed with the paranormal and dark history for as long as I can remember, and it really took off in college when I started my own show called Ghost Encounters that aired on campus TV. So one of the first places I investigated back in 2010 has one of the most unique stories I've ever heard. It's the Candle Shop of the Poconos. If you haven't heard of it, it's an old house that was built in 1897 by Dr. Fisher. And fast forward, when the current owner of the candle shop bought the house for her business, they started doing some renovations.
We took one of the walls down and we found the cages, the holding cells, and the lab. After we found this stuff downstairs, I started to research a little more, and we started digging out the basement floor, and we kept finding like test tubes, syringes, all kinds of medical stuff.
So what happened there, Dr. Fisher brought his work home with him, and he actually kept monkeys in those cages.
He used to kill monkeys and do it for smallpox and yellow fever. He used to cut their heads off. There was actually a hole in the wall with the guillotine, and he took the serum out of their necks, and that's what they used to make smallpox and yellow fever.
Some things that have happened there, one night when Linda was closing up shop, she was putting away some candles on a high shelf, and she was on the ladder, and she heard the pitter-patter of little feet, and all the dust started kicking up.
And I was closing up, and it was a herd running through the whole store, but I couldn't see them, so I thought I was going crazy. But when the dust kicked up 3 feet, that's when I knew I was having an experience. I ran out, wouldn't even come back in here. I had to call my husband to come up here. Like, it sounded like a herd of buffalo running.
The doctor, you can hear his keys jingling and test tubes jingling. They've captured some apparitions on the security cameras. When I was there, we actually had Dr. Fisher talk to us through an EVP. Do an experiment on me, right here. Fisher. The scariest moment I ever had on an investigation was in 2013 at the Weaversville Inn. The Weaversville Inn was built in the early to mid 1800s, and it was used as a hotel, tavern, and a brothel. When it was used as a brothel, there was rooms upstairs for the higher paying men, and the basement was also used, but some not very nice things happened to some women down there. So the basement is definitely a place that had an exuberant amount of paranormal activity.
I just heard a voice.
I mean, I understand if you don't like being told what to do, but I just know that you're down here. Some things that have happened there, one of the employees said that there was a mixing spoon in a glass at the bar, and the mixing spoon actually started spinning by itself.
It was in a pint glass, and the spoon, it swirled around the edge of the glass all by itself. There was no wind, nobody touching it.
And a number of employees have said that they have been somewhat pushed or attacked by some of the spirits that dwell there.
She was standing there talking to us, and all of a sudden we saw something push her back, and she flew in between, she pushed the fridge out in between the wall and the fridge, and she fell on the floor.
There's also the woman in the blue dress that customers tend to see when they go there. They see a woman in an old blue dress.
We've had a lady say that there's a lady that they've seen in a royal blue dress, and I've had many customers say that she's greeted them outside the restroom waiting for them upstairs. So.
When I was there with my team at the time, we were in the basement and we heard this huge bang on the lower basement door. So the basement, there's a door that opens up and you go down into like a laundry room. Then there's another door that opens up into the rest of the basement. And on that lower door is where we heard this bang, and it was extremely loud.
I know, but that way looks really
What? What's that?
I know, but that way looks really
What? What's that?
Someone downstairs?
But the next day when I was listening to the audio, when we were asking who's down here, is anyone down here after we heard that bang, 2 distinct female voices are captured on my recorder. And it was chilling when I heard the audio the next day. I think my skin turned white. I was like, wow, I just captured a Class A EVP by 2 separate female voices. In 2019, I investigated Hex Cough Rock in Williams Township, and there it was extremely eerie and unsettling.
What the f*** was that?
No.
I don't like that.
For those of you who don't know what Hex Cough Rock is, it's this huge rock formation in Williams Township off of Hex Cough Road in the middle of the woods. Hex Cough in German literally means witch's head because the outcropping of the rock actually looks like a witch's head. Back in the 1700s, German settlers were flooding into that area and they brought with them all their superstitions.
Part of the populace had this fear of the things unknown, of flying spirits, of curses placed upon them.
There are German healing doctors called Brauschers. We would call them powwow doctors or witch doctors. They would use certain chants or use certain herbs and do certain things to essentially remove the evil from you. One of the most known ways to heal you was to use something as a cadaver, which means they would take the evil out of you and put it to something else. And the witch doctors back in that time always used Hex Cough Rock as the acceptor of all that evil that they were taking out of people. So the superstitions and the rumors spread very quickly about Hex Cough Rock.
It's become a focal point for spirituality, hexerai, and let's say both white and black witchcraft in Northampton County.
Throughout the years, ever since then, people have seen spirits, they have heard voices, there's even records of people seeing witches doing seances and chants and spells at the rock.
People were scared to death of this rock outcropping because A, it was shaped like a witch, and B, it held all this evil that had been transferred there as a process of curing other people. Witches have been seen dancing on the hill. One particular observer named Matthew Henry actually wrote down the words of their song.
So when I was there with my team at the time, we heard a number of strange things out there at the rock. We heard what sounded like a lady screaming. We saw what looked like a red light glowing in the distance, even though there's no one around. It was a very unique investigation to be outside and to be around something that has so many rumors of witchcraft.
What the f*** was that?
No.
I don't like that.
What is that?
Most recently, I got to investigate a very well-known place, Marshall's Hill Mansion. And everyone has seen this mansion. Anyone that's driven up by Lehigh, Palmerton, everyone that's driven by has seen the house up on the hill. And that was an awesome place to be able to get into. So my company, HomeSpot Media, is a real estate marketing and production company. And the mansion was up for sale, so my company was doing all the advertising, the pictures, the videos for it. And when I was there, I asked the agent, Cass Chives, if I could investigate, and she said, yes, that'd be awesome. So I was able to get in there. So Marshall's Hill Mansion was built in the early 1800s by General Elisha Marshall. He built it for his wife, Janet. He didn't live there very long. He eventually left her, and she lived in that house essentially alone for a while until she found herself another man friend. But they were very secretive living up there in that mansion, especially her. She did not welcome any friends, no visitors. So the rumors spread pretty quickly in that small town about what was going on up there. Due to the secrecy surrounding this grand and highly visible home, many rumors swept the town. Some of these claims include Elisha Marshall being murdered by Janet and her new beau, tunnels under the home, ghostly inhabitants, and that the deep crimson color of the hill is the result of the general's bloodshed during the Civil War. And actually, in the year 2000, Elisha Marshall's grave was broken into and his skull was stolen. Marshall's grave at Rochester Mount Hope Cemetery was broken into and his skull was stolen. The groundskeeper is convinced that the skull was stolen for use in a satanic ritual. So when my team and I were in there investigating, we got a number of great EVPs and we actually got a name come through on the spirit box.
Who is here?
Also, when we were in the kitchen, my K2 meter that I was holding went off, which means that there is some kind of entity near me. All the hairs on my arms stood up. Can you touch one of us? I give you full permission to touch one of us. And I just felt this surge of electromagnetic energy. Thank you for coming towards me. I can literally feel the energy coming off of you. Look at all the hair standing up on my arm. And we got a few EVPs. You're not, Oh, there you are. All throughout the decades, there's a lot of stories. This was a great experience. This was a great investigation to be on, since this house is so well known and it's such a unique place with great architecture. So it was incredible. If you want to see the full episodes to some of the places that I've mentioned, they can be found on my YouTube channel.